Hi, everyone. Lisa Haven here. Well, in today's report, I really want to hone in on the radical nature of the far left. Everybody from Maxine Waters to Nancy Pelosi to AOC to leaders in sports teams and actors have been really calling for some pretty terrible things against conservatives and Trump supporters. And what I've done in today's report is really put all of that together for you so you can get a big picture of what they're actually calling for. And could this be a direct result of why we're seeing riots and breakdowns and chaos breaking out all across America? Well, I'll leave that ultimately for you to decide. But before we get started, I want to give a quick shout out to my partner at noblegoldinvestments.com. If you've not converted your 401k into something backed by gold or get a gold Roth IRA, today is the day to do that, because right now they are giving away the 1/10 ounce gold American Eagle coin, and you can see it there with any approved IRA. So give them a call or go to noblegoldinvestments.com and let them know you heard it on Lisa Haven. All right. So with that, I really want to dive into the radical nature of the left. And let's start with Nancy Pelosi's most recent statement. And I want you guys to see this, but here it is on Breitbart.com. Nancy Pelosi is ready to literally pull Trump out of the White House by his hair. Okay, let me pause right here. She is one of our main leaders in this country, right? And here she is talking about pulling President Trump from his hair right out of the White House. That means that for the past 4 years, since President Trump has been president, she has done everything in her power to go against the president. This speaks massive amounts of hate against someone. This is a very radical voice. And let's not forget what she said earlier this year, and that's this. Pelosi labels Republicans as enemies of the state, says they are domestic enemies of the voting system. And this is on the Daily Caller and published on August 24th. So here she is. She has been the whole time doing nothing but clashing with the president of the United States of America. And this is one of our leaders. Imagine if the roles were reversed and this happened to Obama and they were saying things like that about Obama. It would be a completely different story. And they would be shouting things like, oh, that's treasonous, right? But she's not the only one that is pushing this radical nature. Here we have Breitbart.com. This is also a recent comment. This is by Maxine Waters. I want Trump marched out of the White House by the military or the Secret Service. You mean the Secret Service that was supposed to protect the president for 4 years, and the Secret Service whose job it is to protect the president? And they're just going to march him out of the White House? This is the kind of radical nature that they're calling for. Use the military to pull him out. You know, if I'm not even going to get into the rest of that, but this is just a radical speak. It's radical speak. And if we take that in conjunction with what she said earlier this year, here's time.com. And this was actually published in 2018. But here's what she said. They're not welcome anymore, anywhere. Maxine Waters tells Trump supporters to confront Trump officials. Basically, and I've played this before on Restricted Republic, one more reason you should join on over there. But she's been saying, don't accept Trump supporters or Trump cabinet members at your restaurants or places of businesses. Turn them away. And so this is yet another radical call that she did in the past from Maxine Waters, ergo her new call now to drag the president out of the White House. Then we have this. This is just a reminder of some other radical squad members that have been calling, in addition to Maxine Waters and what Nancy Pelosi have been saying. This is Gateway Pundit. American-hating Democrat Ilhan Omar praises violent uprisings in Minneapolis and Kenosha to fundamentally change America. Then we have this, Anaya Presley, and this is on foxnews.com. Anaya Presley calls for unrest in the streets over Trump-allied politicians ignoring American concerns. Now, remember, this is her own political opinion, but this is literally our leadership, Anaya Presley, Ilhan Omar, calling for chaos and uprisings in our street. Maybe that's why the uprisings have yet to cease and are still going on. But let's go on over to Alec Baldwin. Now, this is a very recent article. This was published December 21st on Breitbart. Alec Baldwin suggests that violent punishments for President Trump, a knee on his neck, or cutting off his oxygen. This is radical nature. Now, this goes in line with things that I've showed you before. You've probably seen the clips of Madonna saying, she wishes she could blow up the White House, or Johnny Depp talking about how when's the last time that somebody assassinated a president, or all those movies and features and films and music videos that show President Trump being shot, or how about the theatrical performance with President Trump being stabbed to death. This is the kind of things that actors and music videos have been promoting. And now we have Alex Baldwin calling for literal violence, even more so, against the president of the United States. This is downright terrifying. Or how about this? And let me make this statement before I expand on this post. Joe Biden, right before this statement came out, was calling for unification between the entire country. We need unification. And then a staffer comes out and says this on Breitbart.com. Nolte, top Biden staffer calls Republicans a bunch of effers. Wait, what? So much for the unity, right? But here's the thing. You would think that the Democrats would at least say, no, that's not acceptable to call Republicans a bunch of effers, right? But instead, they did the opposite. Here we go. This is on foxnews.com. The View defends Biden's aide, calling GOP a bunch of effers. Spare us the level of hypocrisy, she says. Then we have here, Hillary Clinton jumps in on the bandwagon. This is foxnews.com. Defends Biden's deputy chief of staff after effers comment, right? So Hillary defending her and The View defending her. These are Democrats. Hillary Clinton having been in a lead position before, saying, it's not such a big deal after all. But let's not forget what they've been calling for in the past. Here we are on theblaze.com, and I bring this back up because it's very important in light of everything that's going on. So you can see a collage of all the radical tidal wave that has hit the country. This is on theblaze.com. Robert Reich proposes post-election commissions to censor and blacklist Trump supporters, and leftists on Twitter salivate. Oh, we like that idea. And they really did. They really did. Here we have thenation.com, and even AOC jumped in and put out a tweet on it. But that's for another day. We're going to need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission to recover from President Trump. History alone, they say, cannot hold Trump and his enablers accountable for the crimes that we have committed. They say, what crimes have we committed? And they go on to talk about how, the crimes of putting children in, the migrant children who come across, they get put in cages. Well, that was Obama's idea, not Trump's. And actually, Trump did a lot better job than Obama. But to call that a crime when that's part of our legal system, and to sit here and call us criminals, well, what else? Well, how about the fact that we're for freedom? That's what offends them the most, that you and I stand on the side of freedom. That's what they're afraid of, because absolute power corrupts absolutely, and that's what they're after. They're after communism and they're after socialism. Who is the enemy of socialism and communism? That's freedom. So how do they get people to accept freedom-stealing legislation? They do it in the name of saving lives and safety and for your own security and protection, right? Just like all these communist governments in the past. Oh, we're going to round up these Jewish bankers, hint, hint, right? Jewish bankers, and put them in these fun camps, right? And put them away for your safety and protection. It's always done in that. And actually, by the way, remember this. This is an older article from 2019, but I'm putting a collage together. Rashid Tlaib says Democrats are looking to arrest White House officials who ignore subpoenas, calling for the arrest, but they're allowed to ignore subpoenas. They ignored so many subpoenas when President Trump had subpoenaed many people to talk to Congress over Russia, right? Over the whole Russia collusion narrative, right? But here she is. You can only do it. Basically, one side is allowed to do it, but the other side is not. Kind of like we've been seeing over and over again. And let's flip on over to the election, right? Let's go on over to some of the censorship that they've called in regards to that. BigLeaguePolitics.com. Michigan Secretary of State calls for citizen snitches to report election fraud coverage as misinformation. No joke. And I'm going to show you this tweet down here. Here we have a tweet of Jim Hoff. He's with Gateway Pundit, right? And he's tweeting about Michigan Secretary of State caught on video telling people to fill in the blank or about the signature audit. And Michigan responds with, "This is misinformation. Report incidents of misinformation to misinformation@michigan.gov. Misinformation about the election." Why are they gathering that info? It's like they're making another list, like the Truth and Reconciliation Commissions, of, well, people who are talking about election fraud. Why are you making a list? If you've not gone on Restricted Republic, I want to encourage you, get on over to restrictedrepublic.com because right now we've got $20 off an entire year. This is one of the biggest specials we have, and it's only going to last through the end of this month, but you get $20 off in a whole year using the code 20OFF. And right now I've got information on there showing how your AOC types of the world are literally calling for labeling Trump supporters, which I've done a little bit here as well on YouTube. But get on over to Restricted Republic while you can. We don't know how much longer this the censorship's going to be around forever, but they're slowly moving and conservatives off. Also, if you're not on Parler, I am on Parler. So get on over and join Parler. Thousands of people are moving over, literally big names, Hannity. You have all your congressional leaders have moved over, like Rand Paul and all of them. Everybody's moving over. So check me out on Parler. Oh, but with that, let's get on over back to the election. So we all know that they're making snitch lines, right, for people who are sharing information about election or election fraud, literally. But they didn't do that when Democrats were screaming fake Russia collusion, election interference all last year and for the past 4 years. Nope, this is just for Republicans. And here we have Michigan AG on thehill.com warns on election fraud, claims a false claim of criminal activity is a crime. Right. People are coming out speaking against the election fraud, and they're signing affidavits under penalty of perjury. That's the law. But she's using that and she's saying, oh, we're going to come after you, kind of in an under the radar way. Then we have this. This is Gateway Pundit. Georgia poll workers who spoke to media or signed affidavits about election fraud, about the November election integrity, are being fired. Wait, what? Yeah, fired. Name called, labeled for speaking what they saw or believed according to their affidavit, right? But let's not forget, how about the calls for constant censorship against conservatives? Here's this latest one. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar demands that social media giants censor conservative celebrities and non-woke liberal stars. Who? And he's talking about here in this article, he wants to censor James Wood and John Voight. Excuse me? But you're allowed to speak your radical nature, do for them, but not for us. And not to mention this, they're calling for more censorship of conservatives every single day. Here we have Involve.com, and its fact checker whistleblower comes out and says his company was hired by Facebook to censor conservatives exclusively. Now, this is an interesting article, and I'll leave it below, but it really talks about this supposed whistleblower who comes out and they say, well, it's in an international country, this body is. And so basically, Zuckerberg can come to Congress and say, we're not censoring conservatives. It's this company, which the government can't do anything about, an international body doing that, right? That's how they're getting around it. Then we have this up and coming conservatives. This is why Restricted Republic, zerohedge.com, another pre-crime AI system claims it can predict who's going to share disinformation before it's even published. Wow. Let me just put it this way. Maybe a better word would be pre-crime, pre-conservative AI systems claims it can predict which conservatives are going to share information that they don't want heard, right? That's what that is. Censorship always comes in a pretty little package, not to mention all of this that is going on. They're really attacking capitalism, right? Breitbart.com, Carney. Larry thinks BlackRock doubles down on woke capitalism. What this article basically says is, We have Larry Fink saying, if you're a radical, if you're on the left, you're with us. But if you're on the right and you're for capitalists, you're against us. And we shouldn't provide you certain stuff, right? That's what they're calling for. Then we have this new squad member, Jamal Bowman, says capitalism is slavery by another name. Wait, what? Socialism is slavery. Socialism is a plantation for all. Doesn't matter what color, race, or creed, or religion you are. It's the ruling class over the poor class. That is where it ends up every single time. So many things are happening, folks. So many things. And not to mention the attacks on whites. North Carolina teacher, and this is on Big League Politics, says parents who want their children to return to school are guilty of white privilege. What does that have anything to do with anything? But yet, that's where they're at. And then we have Breitbart.com Nolte, the New York Times, normalizes racist eugenics supported by woke doctors. Yes, you heard that right. New York Times put out this article from someone's opinion point of view, if you will, that basically says if you're white, you should be delayed on getting the vaccine. We are literally living on borrowed time. And I'm sorry that went longer than I intended, but I think the point here is you really need to see how radical the left has become. Share this information with everybody you know, because these are scary things. And, you know, my heart is that they stop. You know, I don't see our side out here calling for truth commissions or labeling conservatives or labeling people because they believe in election fraud or election interference in our election. Why are you doing that to people? Right? And we need to make sure both sides of the fence hear this. So share it with everyone. Anyhow, I love all of you. Thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.